Hey guys, Asher coming at you today with another Race Shadow Legends champion guide, this time on Madame Serris, aka Madame Serris. So she was introduced to the game as a Halloween champion way back in the day, 2019, I want to say, maybe 2020. Either way, she was along with Harvest Jack, Brachus the Shifter, and Miscreated Monster, all added the same day. What a batch of champions. She still got it too. She still got it. Certainly has not been power crept much, although there have been some implications to her kit based on things like Stone Skin and Polymorph, and we'll get into that in today's video. Either way, I still use Madame Serris, one of my most used epics out there in the game. A few shoutouts to you guys. We have Shamir dreaming of a Madame Serris with 700 accuracy, 300 speed. Ours isn't going to be that endgame in today's video, but yeah, definitely that would be the dream, right? Louise Cruz, can we get another guide for Madame Serris? I just pulled her. Cooking my village food. Have you done anything with Madame Serris? If not, please do. Well, here we are. In Lonnie Rivera looking for Madame Serris. We have Venom G69 looking for Madame Serris, and this guy, Pofo, we'll call him, looking for a Madame Serris. Well, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it and take a look at Madame Serris. So Madame Serris is a Dark Elf Void Epic Champion. Here she is. She looks really cool. She's got the witch aesthetic on lockdown. Very, very cool looking champion, right? I mean, she was one of the first champions I remember looking at because I actually started playing like the week that she was released or whatever, you know, or around the same time. Like that was my first batch of champions that I really recall in the game. And I remember aesthetically being like, wow, she's amazing looking. Anyway, a support-based champion. On the A1, we have Panic Spread, attacks one enemy, has a 20 scaling up to 45% chance of placing a fear for one turn. Now it goes up depending on how many debuffs or if they're under debuffs on that A1. So already some control in her kit. Of course, fear gives a 50% chance of the target losing their turn. On the A2, Tricks and Treats. Basically the skill failing, they lose their turn, right? Tricks and Treats. Attacks all enemies on a 3-turn cooldown when booked, okay? Has a 40, make it 50% chance, again, when booked, of stealing one random buff from each target. Plays a block debuffs on all allies for 2 turns if any buff is stolen. Plays a True Fear debuff for 1 turn on enemies who have buffs stolen. This is an insanely good ability, right? And this is her second move that she's going to be bringing in the arena, and it's very, very good. I mean, we always look at their first move first, obviously, like, you know, because ideally the battle would be ended after they do 1 turn. But even if it's not, which often case is the case, it's not at the end of the whole entire match in the arena, she comes in with Trick and Treats, and it's insane. I mean, the block debuffs for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, as long as they have buffs up, even like an Arbiter, like an increased speed on the other team, you're going to be A-okay and good to go here with the block debuffs. And True Fear, the difference between True Fear and Fear is if it's still a 50-50 of losing their turn and the skill failing, but if the skill fails, it gets put on cooldown as well on True Fear. On Midnight Ritual, on a 4-turn cooldown, it's going to remove all buffs from all enemies, place a big version of decreased attack and the big version of decreased defense for 2 turns. Really, really good. Way back in the day, I believe this was a 3-turn cooldown, booked down to 3, and they nerfed it to a 4-turn. It still makes her just as viable in the arena, not quite as viable as she was upon release in PvE content, because especially nowadays, both decreased attack and decreased defense, we're ideally looking for a 3-turn cooldown, but having both in the same ability, especially if you're like early or mid game, you don't have any other options, especially Void Affinity, it's still a great ability. Don't get me wrong, having those essential debuffs on the same ability a la Stagnite in Duck the Pierced, right? On the passive, which is Grace, another good element to her kit, right? Plays a shield on this champion, equals 10% of their max HP at the start of each turn. When attacked, while under that shield, has a 35% chance of placing a fear debuff on the attacker for 1 turn, so more fear control on that A1. So we have fear on the passive, fear on the passive, fear on the A1, True Fear on the A2, and then the great buff remover and debuffs on Midnight Ritual on the A3. What a champion, guys. Seriously, a lot of control in some of the best debuff, or I should say Midnight Ritual being one of the best debuff moves in the game. Let's take a look on hellhades.com to see what they rank her. Overall, a 4. I don't know. I'm tempted to say even like a 4.5. I think she's really just one of the best epics out there in the game. You know, she's maybe not the most versatile in the game, but in terms of what she does, it's better than almost every legendary out there in the game as an epic champion. That's really special, right? And that's what we look for out of epics, especially when we talk about end-game viability, right? Are you going to, even if you're not in the end game, are you going to put resources into a champion that's only going to last you for a month or two? No, not with Madame Serris. She'll last you forever. Key areas, Clan Boss as a debuffer, Hydra, Doom Tower. I would rank her a little bit less than Demon Lord, personally. Hydra, she's actually pretty good because, again, in kind of earlier progression Hydra, earlier stages, not like Nightmare or anything like that, because she's removing the buffs on top of adding those essential debuffs, right? And the A2 works really well as well. Doom Tower, great for waves. Ice Golem, really solid. Dragon, Fire Knight, Spider. She's good for progression in dungeons, right? Debuffer. Well, you know she brings to the table debuffs and control. And you can see where she's utilized here, basically almost everywhere in Doom Tower in terms of against bosses and the whole nine here. So very, very versatile champion. In the arena, I would give her a 5-star. You know, I wouldn't even mess around. I would give her a 5-star rating, even with Polymorph. Multipliers, we don't really care about damage on Madame Serris, but she does have 4.2 and a 4.3 average damage gradings on the A2 and the A1 and the A2 respectively. All right, no, I don't want your void shards, player him. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we have her geared out before we give her a run in the arena, okay? So total stats really quickly here. We have a decent amount of HP and defense, a little survivability, but mainly our biggest concerns, as that commentator alluded to, are speed and accuracy. In the arena, you can't really be too fast and you can't have too much accuracy. Ideally, we want her going after our turn meter booster, after whoever the lead champion on a speed team is. As I mentioned earlier, one thing that did kind of, I guess, mitigate her utility, she was everywhere for a couple years, right? But really Polymorph, you got to be very careful of Polymorph. She will be turned into a sheep. She's removing buffs and placing debuffs. It's a dangerous move there. However, she does have a 50% chance to remove Stone Skin as well, which is advantageous. I like to run her on a Go First team with 2 or 3 total buff removers. So I get a few shots at removing that Stone Skin. I'm going to show you exactly the team that I use. Well, you can see right here. I use Kaimar, Sun Wukong, Arbiter as my speed booster, and Madame Serris. All 3, Kaimar, Sun Wukong, and Madame Serris, have the ability of removing all buffs from all enemies. So great against Stone Skin, against tanky teams for sure. Anyway, if you don't have all 3 of those, you can run 2. You know, Sun Wukong and her, I think, is our great tandem. Again, just be careful of Polymorph. We have accuracy, obviously, on the banner. It's pretty much going to be a mandatory accuracy on the banner and accuracy on the chest, both the chest and the banner, for the arena, right? Because we just want to min-max our accuracy as high as humanly possible. We have just survivability. I would go HP on the amulet, HP on the ring, which we do have here. Speed on the boots. If you have any speed ascension on speed boots, especially in speed gear, accuracy gear sets, or perception gear sets, definitely put it on Madame Serris, right? We want her to go fast, fast, fast to remove those buffs and set up our nuker, set the table for our nuker, right? So that's basically it, guys. I just said my 3 favorite sets on her: accuracy, perception, and speed gear, I would say. But really, it's all about perception and or accuracy, because we want speed, sure, but we really want a lot of accuracy. Okay, next up is going to, well, let me show you really quickly here. What did I say? Accuracy here, I have probably HP percentage. No, I have defense percentage on the gauntlets, which is fine. She gets a little bit better of a shield, though, off that passive if you just go, like, min-max HP versus defense. But it's nice to have some defense, too, to take a hit, right? I have Dark Resolve as a blessing on this champion, a chance of blocking Freeze, Provoke, and True Fear. Of course, you could equally go with Indomitable Spirit, a chance of blocking Stun, Sleep, or Fear. And then the third option for this champion would be Commanding Presence. If you don't have an Intimidating or Commanding Presence champion already on your arena team, run Madame Serris as your Commanding Presence champion. Boost up that speed aura that you're hopefully running. I'm going to go ahead and pick out Masteries with you guys. Now, I keep mentioning the arena. I don't mean to just pigeonhole her to one area of the game. The good news is you can basically use the build that I'm about to show you anywhere, right? I think it's smart to build her for the arena, and then you can utilize that in PvE areas as well. So first and foremost, we're going to go support. We're obviously going to pick up all of the accuracy masteries here. We're also going to pick up Lore of Steel. It's pretty much mandatory because we're going to be putting her in 3-piece sets, you know? There's not really a 4-piece set that I would advise people use with Madam Serris. We want Evil Eye. And we absolutely want both Master Hexer and Sniper. Sniper's very important for that A1, for the passive, for the A2. We really want that boost of 5%. And then the tier 6 mastery is going to be Eagle Eye. Now, I guess the only thing, if you did not want to use her at all in the arena, which why wouldn't you? I mean, she's so good in the arena, even still today. You could go just for PvE all the way down. If you wanted to use her as like a dungeon debuffer or something like that, you could go all the way down offense and go with War Master. Just kind of hug the left-hand side here. But I would strongly advise everybody just go and pick up Eagle Eye. Obviously, what I just showed you guys in terms of her total stats, I mean, after the masteries, we bumped it all the way to 600 plus, right? So we're creeping up on that 700 territory, and that's not even factoring in Swarm Smiter, where we get an extra 16 accuracy off of this once we go into arena battle. All right, I also want to pick up Arcane Celerity, 30% chance of increasing the turn meter when a debuff cast by this champion is removed or expires. Let's see, I also want to go, I'm getting greedy here, I also want to go Exalted Death. First time an enemy is killed, give her a little heal, make sure she stays alive. I'm going to go with a little bit of resist. I'm going to go in with, actually, yeah, I'll go Rejuvenation. That will boost up her shield, right? I want to come in with Resurgent, and it's kind of a shame. I think I would have redone this. I would have gone maybe Tough Skin and Blast Proof, but I'm not going to reset it for that. So Tough Skin, Blast Proof, mitigating damage from AoE attacks, then come Resurgent, then come Delay Death. Another option is going with Harvest Despair because she is placing the Fear in True Fear, and when she's so a chance of placing the Leech, excuse me, at the same time she does that. However, I really like Delay Death as well. So again, you can go either way here. I will go with meh. I might go Cycle of Revenge. I like her fast. Retribution's fine for control with the fear, but I think I'm going to go with... No, I take it back. I'm going to go Retribution. I like that A1. I like her counterattacking with that A1 and trying to, you know, cause one of the enemies to lose their turn off of the fear debuff. So those are the masteries, guys. Now our updated stats as we just looked. Nothing's really changed here, but substantially more with Lore of Steel in all those accuracy masteries. So let's go ahead and try her out in the arena, guys. Let's have a little bit of fun speed farming with this team. Now, this is exactly the type of team that I would use if I was trying to farm up my Great Hall. My Great Hall is complete on this account, but this is the most effective type of team, right? We see Stowskin, we get 3 shots at removing all of these pesky buffs, right? So, you know, we're not always going to clear everybody in 2 seconds, but it's a very, very effective squad. We come in here, even with a Necrot the Great, a Trunda. It's like not a bad team that we're facing here, certainly, but we make fast progress. Now, you're going to lose some matches here and there, you know, really not the end of the world, honestly, right? It's not like you're using energy. You're using your arena battles, and I don't know that many players who are like absolutely religious about using every single one of their arena battles every single time they replenish in the game. So if you lose a match here or there, like who cares? No big deal, right? Just keep going. The name of the game here, to me, is just speed, right? We just want to go fast in the arena, and this is why I love this strategy to farm your Great Hall, right? I will show you guys. This is very important. I should have showed you guys this out the gate here. We want to go to our team. Anytime you're using Madam Serris, right? You want to go in there and make sure you're prioritizing as an opener and first choice Midnight Ritual. She will always open and go with Trick and Treats, I guess unless there's like a substantial amount of buffs on the enemy team. But for her to prioritize Midnight Ritual, I want to say there needs to be like 3 or 4 buffs on each enemy. So most often she's not going to. She's going to go in with Trick and Treats, which is silly, you know? We want her to go in with Midnight Ritual all the time on the opener. So we prioritize that, set it as a priority. Same thing with Kaimar and Abyssal Gaze. He's going to open up with the A2, not the Seal of Magic. Same thing with Sun Wukong. He'll open up most of the time with Staff of Wonder, which is great. It does a lot of damage. But I like to go with, like, you know, the whole theme of this team is removing buffs and shutting them down, right? So I want him to open up with his A3. And you'll notice because Kymar has Seal of Magic on the team, the ability that resets the abilities of all the allies, going just opener on Midnight Ritual, on Madame Serris, and Sun Wukong, it's not enough. We need to also go with first choice. That way, when he resets their abilities, they go in with it again, right? I can't go against a Torment team because I don't have any anti-freeze on the squad. But what I would do is probably sub in like a Foley or a Dark Elhain, right? My anti-freeze specialist. But I'm just going to keep it moving here. But again, I mean, this is it. It's Madame Serris doing her thing. It doesn't matter. Oftentimes, you're not going to kill them on the very first nuke, especially with Sun Wukong, who hits hard, but it's not like I'm running a Trunda or something like that. But, I mean, I could, right? So let's do it. Let's run a Trunda. This way, if we run a traditional nuker, not to say Sun Wukong, again, is not a good nuker. He is. But if we run a more traditional nuker in that spot, and it could be anybody, really. It could be a Genbo. It could be a Magnar. It could be just someone who hits a little bit harder than Sun Wukong. Most of the time, these battles will be done in one shot instead of like waiting for it to come around. I just like Sun Wukong against a tankier Stone Skin team. So you guys kind of get the point here, I'm sure. Nice and fast. That is the name of the proverbial game here. And that's it, like one battle after another. And that's what Madame Serris really does a great job of setting up. Like, look at this team, very, very tanky. But it doesn't matter. A bunch of revivers, a bunch of baloney. It's all good. It's all good. We come in here. Madame Serris sets them all up. We haven't even spoken too much about the power of her decreased attack, right? I mean, you saw Trunda not one-shot us on that previous attack or that previous battle a while ago. That was because she was under decreased attack. You saw Leo with it right there. Now, granted, he didn't actually get a chance to take a turn, but it really mitigates, especially on a go first team, it mitigates the chance of them coming in with these massive nukes that are just going to blow you away. So very effective that she has both of those abilities. Let's go ahead and do one more squad here, but I think you guys pretty much get the point, right? By the way, this coming week, I think there's probably not that many people who are just like die hard, watching every single video on this channel. I think a lot of you are just basically seeking out champions that you have or that you just pulled to find guides on. But with all that said, I will be missing a couple days due to travel this week in terms of champion uploads, or I should say video uploads. I lied. Let's do one more. Madame Serris against Madame Serris before we end the video. So yeah, I think Tuesday and maybe Wednesday I will not be uploading on the channel this week. I apologize. But there you go, guys. For my money, the most effective debuffer for speed farming inside the entire game for the arena. And again, even though we didn't highlight her, very competent to use in dungeons or anywhere that you want a great debuffer, right, on your squad. And buff remover and control champion with that A2. So guys, that's going to do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care, guys.